Now, I know as a professor here at Moore Park College, the budget cuts must be affecting you at least a little.
Absolutely.
If you are elected into Congress, what would you want to change about that, if anything?
I need to address this twofold. States oversee their educational systems. And so each state has the responsibility for their own particular educational systems. And so as a member of Congress, I would have neither the authority nor the responsibility to influence the education in this, well, to make direct changes in the budgeting of education in the state. What members of Congress can do, and what I would like to do, is to be able to influence educational policy. And educational policy then flows to the states, and the states then budget based upon the policies. And so in terms of what I would like to do in Congress is, yes, to really start looking at educational processes in this country. No Child Left Behind is a federal piece of legislation. And what it has done, it has really tied the hands of school districts. School districts cannot implement real reform because of this particular piece of legislation. And so what we really need to do is we need to ask, what is it that we want students to be able to do when they come out of the educational system? And so No Child Left Behind focuses on testing, and we test them in reading, writing, and math, which is important. But all the time, every year, it's too much. There are other things that students need to be able to do as well. Vocational and occupational programs. We've taken those out of the schools pretty much nationwide, and I think that's a huge mistake. So I would like to see more money flowing back to the states to be able to develop more educational and occupation programs. Get kids so that they can be excited about doing something. Like you know, with the journalism. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to start this in the high schools and then, go to the community college and take some more classes. So that's what I would do in Washington, is try to influence the policies and really ask, what is it we want students to be able to do? What sort of education do they really need? And we need to look at the whole student, not just the academics.
In your opinion, what are the environmental problems that we as an entire society should be focusing on right now?
One of the biggest problems is the energy and our dependence on carbon-based energy sources. We are putting into the atmosphere tremendous amounts of carbon dioxide, and as a result, we're seeing global climate change. We need to develop other sources of energy, and where Obama has said green energy. So we need to look at solar energy. We need to look at solar thermal energy. Wind energy is an option. All of these, you're utilizing the energy that's out there, but not burning carbon-based fuels. If we don't get a handle on this, we're going to see dramatic changes much more quickly in terms of global climate change. So that's a biggie right away. In addition to that, we need to look at water utilization. The western states are in the midst of a 3-year drought, and it's expected only to get worse. And so the federal government can take the lead in encouraging the states to work together in developing water policy. Transportation is another issue that impacts the environment. The fact, particularly in California, that everybody gets into their car, and all of us here, I'm sure, have driven our own car to school, and that's because there's no public transportation. And so we need to have public transportation systems that are reliable, that are frequent, and that are cost-effective. And so, particularly in this district, that's one thing that I would really like to see change, is to develop a good public transportation system that gets people out of their cars. And then the advantage of that is it builds communities. And I think one of the problems, particularly in California, is that we don't have a sense of community. And so I think in the Midwest you see more of that. But I think getting people out of their cars and into their communities will develop that. So I think there's a payoff in that sense as well.
And here in Ventura County, Okay. Here in Ventura County, what would you say are some main problems that we should be focusing on?
Well, I think the economy is in everybody's mind, and certainly in Ventura County, we need to consider how can we grow the economy in this state so that it's sustainable. What I would like to see is more of an emphasis on science and technology. Science and technology historically has been the drivers of economy, and in Ventura County, what we have is Amgen, we have Baxter Healthcare, and so these are biotech companies. We have a whole bunch of incubator biotech companies you've probably never heard of, and so this really can be a huge biotech capital. And we have at Moorpark College here the biotech program that is able to provide a workforce. So looking at those industries that we can grow so that we can continue to grow jobs. The environment is a huge issue that we need to look at. SOAR is beginning to have discussions throughout the county, and that has to do with land use and how we're using the land in this county. And then I'd like to see an increase in green technologies. I already talked about the reducing carbon emissions in the public transportation systems. So I think those are the biggest things. Looking at education. Education and the economy are really two sides of the same coin. And focusing on education of students. That's a big thing.
Okay. And is there anything else you would like to add about your candidacy for member of Congress?
I think that the citizens of this district need to recognize that we really need to take some action. That our current representative is not moving us forward, and that as a county, it's getting to the point where it's almost too late to begin moving forward. I guess you can say it's never too late, but I mean, in my opinion, we really have to begin working towards change in this county: environmental change, education change, economic change. And so I think we need to elect a representative that can do that. I have done that in the Oak Park School Board. I've done that on campus here. And I think a woman. 17% of congressional delegates are women. And in a country where we have more than 50% of the population is female, I think that's worrisome. Women ask different questions. So I think that I can do that.
Okay, thank you so much for your time
Thanks,
today.
Connie.
It's great meeting you.